Hey, my name is PolishLynx. Welcome to the Letter Horror visual novel. We are starting the story with Ashton. That's right. Do we need to? No, we don't really need to save any of the relationships somehow. What do we know about Ashton? Ashton Ashtray. Birthday December 26th. Capricorn. 29 years old. Height 5.5, which is 164 centimeters, which means I'm taller. I know if it's important, but yeah. Anyway, occupation detective inspector, nationality American Japanese, religion Christian, non-practicing. Understandable. Education bachelor's degree in forensic science. Likes taiyaki ice cream, Shirley, Ophelia, old-time tiny action movies and thrillers, kart racing, jazz and swing. I've never kart raced. Sherlock Holmes, justice. There was a little love between his parents, and though he grew up privileged, he found little joy in a student life. He saw the standard testing system as a chore and considers his popularity among his peers to be an annoyance. Understandable. Rebecca was the only one he considered a friend in sound gravity, and he was no better when he went into university. If anything, his different outlook got worse with his parents' divorce. He initially took law, but was quickly disillusioned by how heavy-handed and abused the system was. Forensic science, on the other hand, became fascinating for him. He served a brief time as police officer before he applied to join Luxembourg's criminal investigation department. Early on, he was too eager to deal out justice, but his numerous years in service became quite the learning experience for him. Now, as a detective inspector, he's been assigned to his biggest case yet. Alright, we know a little bit about him. Let's begin. Parties have never been really my thing. They're always such a hassle and take so much time of my day. There are plans and commitments cancelled all for the sake of playing along with others. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, man. Parties are annoying.
Welcome everyone.
I hated them even as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home.
It's not the first time we are hearing this. But Mom often insisted. She'd slick my hair back, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have already surrounded me, long before I've chosen what I want to do with my life. Lucky, there were easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. I kept to myself and to my music, had my own little world, alright. I'm curious what music he listens to. Until I learned to observe. It's just a matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of wrist alone would tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Rice housewarming. However, when there is actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name look right plastered all over it. You'd think the man would want to remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxembourg. Granted, most of it have gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still does make him any less suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although, having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the spotlight, constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he is nowhere to be found in his own party. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends, how close he has crept into the lives of the people I care about. Again, like a stubborn edge you couldn't be rid of. First, Professor Clark. What? Wait, that was not mentioned before? Then there's Isabella. Also spotted Z-Man here a while ago and now. Now there's also Rebecca. Apparently.
Ashton?
No?
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
That explains things and makes this difficult. I'll say, as if getting contact among staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy almost ditched me last night and might have placed another setback on my station if it wasn't for my generous tip. Then here comes Rebecca, another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
Unnecessary lie. Can't bring my own friends into this any further than what they found themselves in. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Zach's or Rebecca's head, there will be hell to pay. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in itself already. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people though. It would tarnish his glorious reputation. He values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it. More than, in fact, and on the off chance he does something. I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
For Zach's and Rebecca's sakes, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming. Even for something tells me it's anything but... call it detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. I can't let my guard down here. Even more so when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes.
Chief?
My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for a newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here chatting up with luxurious rich and famous isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect, man, but the guy's obviously a social climber. What's surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
What the shit is going on here?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Hey, be careful! About what exact...
I don't want to draw attention to myself either, at least not until he gives me proper reason to spoil his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
For now, the best I can do is wait and remain inconspicuous, especially with the chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach and Rebecca, or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. One drink is out of the question as well, when there are guards in civies stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now. When I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about, it would be best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designers' drunken claims are to be believed...
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It will all come down to how I will play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this part is going to give me a breakthrough. I need to crank Luke right or something to prove my super strong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is playing. I've had an inkling before, a few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. But one does not simply deal with the rights and get invited to a party by a host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or is the other way around. So, with a last worried glance at two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. 28th, by the way, 28th. 28th. We start pretty late, so maybe we'll finally arrive over the last 2 days. By the time the party is in full swing, night has fallen, yet there still isn't a look right inside. A man can be quite ostentatious, but this, frankly impressed. I don't even know how many hordes of war I've already stuffed my face with. One too many probably. The servers are already giving me a stinky eye every time I saunter over the buffet table. Blame your employer, not me. He's the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guests' idle talk is concentrated in this area. Despite standing under the same view, the very people were whispering about, some just couldn't resist. I might as well keep an ear out for any useful info.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem? Tech problem?
It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
He might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slumped these past few months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings. I wouldn't be shocked if this case would not have gone this long. If Scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out.
I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened.
Feh, glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear, the wife especially.
This kind of negligence has always been an advantage, but sometimes I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing this. Having sharp ears also means you get to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week? One person's motive for bashing someone's skull against the wall, or father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive. That sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring, you get desensitized to it. But humans could also be downright hurtful. Sometimes there isn't enough brain bleach in the world. So the one is no-go tonight, mostly for show. I am up for another drive later for one. They definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart begins to hold the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom.
Hannah Wright.
Some will say I'm acting a touch bit paranoid, maybe I am. This is a party and she's the hostess. It goes to say that she'd take time to mingle with her guests. But Hannah Wright's Evans isn't without her fair share of accolades. At least to the public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's the one with the business sense. Not to mention the impressive track record to manage company. Or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. She's clean as far as my agents and I have found, but it doesn't rule out the possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Even with the immense personal opinion of the woman, there are certain gut feelings you really couldn't shake off. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean in the previous reports until I bothered to take a deeper look into it. What I found may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. This may be a bit of an overreaction, but no one was long in my line of work by being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She's probably even more careful with appearances than her own husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet even knowing that the anxious taste has been here since the party started. I've brushed it off earlier. Who didn't feel edgy, right? I've gone undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That in itself is risky, and has plenty of rooms for error. Usually follow the tension passes around the first half hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second I spend here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm. An odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. What was that sound? Oh boy, I know who's watching you. It has been like this since last week, but I should already be used to this. People will be looking at you, no matter how small or big of a blip I'm on the radar. That's what they do in these things. But when the feeling of ice burning to my back lingers longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch up the culprit. No luck. and despite my efforts to push the session as far down as I could, tiny pinpricks continue stinging the back of my head and the ghost of a cold touch creeps up my limbs. Until my gaze switches back to Rebecca and Hannah Wright. She stands there, dark-haired and dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she's looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes, disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision pins while I stand stock still and gape at her, like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence until an guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I've been holding my breath. Before I could figure out what happened, she's gone? A quick scan the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy thing like this. What has the security been doing? Are they really not that incompetent? Or something so distinct to easily get in without notice? There should have been an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing almost an arm's length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues her talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Is there something in the food then that I'm starting to see things? It couldn't have been the wine, for I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped off my car. The horse devour? But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Wright want to do that? He's fishy, but I couldn't see why he'd ever think to be a good idea to lace the food he'd serve in his party, with someone like Chief Lee on his guest list too, but he's been linked to narcotics trade, yep, however, that kind of tactics is below him, that much I could tell. Unless there's a mass murder waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So...
What the fuck was that?
But there's no time to look deeper into this, even if I want to. Not when a tolling silence goes up on the room and draws everyone's attention to the main doors of the ballroom.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that I heard stories from previous officers who tackled his case, none of which are pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark, yet pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright is good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I've lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases the guy could be pinned with. Standing in the same room as him doesn't make me want to punch him unless... Actually, there's he's stronger. But protocols... My case, first and foremost. My own opinion of the man should get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him in his place, it should be in a court, with all proper charges filed against him. And I will only be able to do that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Amidst the cheers and claps, now it's a good time as any to move, trying to find that something that McCullough woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with this slimeball himself. I fix my splatter on my face, while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him, always slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I could get any further...
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either really quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or by create an even greater problem out of it, and it just blows up in everybody's faces one way or another. Fun.
No! Shut it, you monster! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
Not even a few seconds in, and this is already proving itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. You get free food too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not the guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, even for this whole sorry tale. So I wait, I listen, I observe. Interesting, isn't it? For that's the chief inspector's wife. Huh? What? Hey! The morning after starts off quiet. Even the whole of Salemwell residences seem unusually still. The open hallway when I step out is devoid of tenants, no sounds coming from the other units either. It's almost as if something is brewing on the horizon. A peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the beautiful. I can't even remember the last time I've slept without anything urgent interrupting. It's a nice break from all the bad news lately. If it wasn't for the insistent buzzing in my pocket waking me up, I'd sleep in. The ringing has stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has also been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity I could use a little more rest until I had to face the other storm. Curse I owe Rebecca an explanation. It doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or another hastily spun tale. Although I haven't really figured out how to go about this yet. Like Zach and Isabella, who don't usually ask questions and are content with what little I could share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. It will have to be set aside for later.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Back as watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy. Sup, I'm Ash from
Okay man, you have shit taste in music. The chief's name stares back at me, almost as if it's mocking me. Sad. It would have been nice to just chill after last night, maybe half listen to the news. Sure, it's the same thing we've been hearing lately. Still be standing outside in the chill Luxembourg morning on the phone with my boss. Saying answer it, if only to get this over with.
Ray, where are you right now?
Now that's what I didn't expect from him at this hour. Just thinking how this will go really gives me a headache. Immediately, I reach up and pinch the bridge of my nose to save it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you too.
He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about his wife, which is really none of my business unless it affects my case. It seems like the usual rich man cheats on his wife deal. If I would have followed up on it, if it were somebody else's wife. But figuring he's the chief's, hey, I trust him. Come cleaning the issues is related to the right's shady dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm not going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives when he's probably just dead. She appears to have a different idea in mind for.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning. Anyway, where are you? I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
He did, and not only him. Zach, Rebecca, Isabella, all of them have said the same thing numerous times in the past. But I was undercover last night. A phone call is the last thing I want to happen when there are other things I need to focus on at the time. Besides, we have radios and work use the phones. Why isn't using those channels if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just... Look, kid. Pray. Don't take this personally, alright? You're off the Luxembourg firm case. It's done today.
Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of cosmic joke. Allow some awkward seconds to pass. Chief must be pulling another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or a severe hangover maybe, everyone knows that when given a chance, he exercises no control of his drinking. If it wasn't for his wife causing a stir, he'd probably be trashed an hour in at the party. He likely drank more after they threw her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up, if I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own speaker, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief? Is this one of your practical jokes again? The temps won't say anything about it, but
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
Ah, the higher-ups. Yes, my favorite word. Since when did the higher-ups ever cared about what the criminal investigation department did? As far as I could tell, they don't give a hoot if CID is filled with cold cases, as long as we keep the spending low. When I need to view those old case files for better locked away in the archives, you're gonna have to check with the higher-ups. I need access to these reports, see if the higher-ups would allow it. Every step I've removed in this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner, or so they always tell me. It makes one wonder why they even bother assigning it to anyone. Not a single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it has taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
you can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton. You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but...
3 years, Chief. 3 years!
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name was openly linked to several nasty links with luxurious corporate wars, some of them involving deaths. 3 years that I was the only one who made it this far. Made much progress that officers with more experience weren't able to do when they handled this case. Just within a year, and with barely any help from the Dame Brass at that. Of course, I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it? It would have gone cold, like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Frey, but the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress. Still too slow by their standards.
Too slow? Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather. Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another. Concrete proof, Frey. I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision. They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer. Someone who has more experience.
Someone who has more experience?
They meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors,
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile, I know it is. They'd never say it within my earshot, but from the moment I stepped into the precincts, the lot of them had underestimated me, from their stress alone to the assignments I get. To them, I was still just a kid, too young, too green, too inexperienced. And once they pull that card on me, every argument I have gets thrown out the window. No matter how logical it is, how much I've accomplished, what the record says, or the amount of work I put in every investigation they thrown my way.
We're all aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
Can he even hear himself? That reasoning is on himself. No one joins this line of work without knowing the dangers of it.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final. I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Fred, it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers. You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Hell, just keep out of the precinct, Fred. Take the weekend off.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night? If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for...
You were at the party.
It makes me house. His very tone, a sounding careful note in his voice. Slowly the frown forms my face, my eyebrows knitting together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in it. Hard not to think of it that way, seeing how he acted around Hannah Wright last night. Is he worthy? Why should he be? Anyone was invited. I ended up for a second when he received an invite. Even his presence was questionable. There's something wrong and I've unintentionally walked into it. All I have is this sinking suspicion, but when one looks at this from a different angle, put everything together. Why the hell I've been taken off the case might be for the same reason he was there in the first place. Fuck.
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was...
He coughs and it almost sounds like he's choking his own excuses. Lies? I didn't want to accuse him of it, yet he is someone I've respected since I joined LAPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously competent enough to get the job done. Doubt. He wouldn't be the chief inspector of luxury police if he wasn't. He wouldn't last year in service without some track record backing him. Unless that too is a fluke, and what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh shit. Fucking hell. Oh fucking shit.
Chief Harvey, about last night with the...
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'll recite the whole thing. Oh, we've taken up on being sworn to service if I can. At this point, it seems too late to remind him of that. He has probably already moved from serving the product people to serving and protecting his own interests. Damn it. I've suspected the upper brass of this. Even the lower rank subordinates in the force, but from my own boss. Shit, no wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before the fucking case had been assigned to me. But I don't want to just give up. I don't want to believe I've wasted an entire year for this. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hannah Wright, you were...
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see it all on my table, understood?
This isn't...
Frey, am I understood?
What else can I do other than smile nod? My superior expecting an answer using the tone, brushing my questions off as easy as discarding a dead body.
Yes, sir.
He cuts the line as soon as the words are out. None of the case range just like that. Funny why they still caught me off guard. I discovered years ago how different the actual thing is, how far from reality everything I believed in as a dream-eyed kids. There are no high-speed pursuits every day, no thrilling gunfights or exciting cases every step of the way. Only paperwork, lots of red tape, and dealing with the politics and bureaucracy. I've set out to change things, hoping it will make things better for the people I care about. It ended up changing me instead. Serves me right for being too idealistic, huh, I guess. It was probably the universe telling me that it's better to remain the skeptic I really am. Now here I'm standing useless. Can't even do anything but grit my teeth and kick the wall. The bastard didn't even acknowledge my response.
What did the poor wall ever do to you?
Maybe we'll find out in the next episode. Hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow, right? But let's check out the journal quick. Oh no, we'll check the journal. Okay, let's check the journal. Ashton received a call from Roland Chief of Expert Police first thing in the morning, informed him that he had been taken off the Luxburn Fern case. A voice protest fell on deaf ears. The center of events proved a hunch. Yeah, anywho, for now, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Alright, I need to render this really quickly overnight, upload it, and go to sleep, and then get to work. God damn it. That's what I get for sleeping almost for the whole 2 days. Like, literally, I almost slept 2 whole days, damn it. And I didn't report anything during that time. That's problematic. Anywho, bye bye.